Let me take this opportunity here to talk about our partner for this particular session, and they are the NDH Go. NDH Go is an AI-powered SaaS no-code e-commerce platform offering enterprise-level services, the panelist for this particular session. And in this panel, we shall be discussing over how to win customer as a startup provider. To moderate this session, and as the chairperson, can I please call upon Mr. Nirupam Chaudhuri, the director of NASSCOM, on stage. Can I have a round of applause as he joins us? Kindly keep applauding, as I would now request Mr. Navaneethan M., Senior VP and CISO of Grow, to join us. And yes, of course, please put up your hands together for Mr. Debashish Roy, VP IT, CESC Limited. Now, this is going to be some interesting session ahead. I would request Mr. Chaudhuri to kindly take the session forward.
Thank you so much. This is absolutely a delightful, the panel is absolutely fantastic, but what I would request is, because there are so many guys in this room, please, why don't you come forward? थोड़ा सामने आइए, एकदम, fast 3 rows, सामने आ जाइए. We'll have a very close discussion, okay? एकदम सामने आ जाइए. Debashish, Navneet and Kumar, of course, this topic is, we are running the startup forum. And with our experience in NASSCOM with 10,000 startups, we see that it is always difficult to get the first few customers as a startup, because some of these guys aspire and start something with a lot of dreams. He is perhaps developing a product or he's trying to provide a service. But sometimes it is always the case that unless you have some very successful customers, will not give you the business. I think this happens to most startups, right? So getting these first few customers is always a challenge. And from NASSCOM, from the initiatives that we run, at least what we try to do is, we have a rich set of members some of them are very established ones, like the bigger ones. And of course, there are mid-level companies even mid-level companies have, say, 1,000 plus crores. That is the kind of tune the business runs. So what we try to do is, at least we try to patch some of our young friends with leaders like you. And also then there are non-tech sectors. Like, for example, in this panel we have CSC, we have Grow, we have NDH Go. Of course, Kumar wears 2 hats. He has his IT services company, and also he has the e-commerce platform, NDH Go, which we saw right now, and is doing some very interesting works. So the challenge is, for CIOs, CTOs, what we also try to do is, we try to do something called NIPP, which is NASSCOM Industry Partnership Program, where basically corporates like a bank or an entity like CSC for that matter, or a healthcare concern, they would come forward, and some very interesting and innovative projects they would do along with startups, and these brings in fresh minds, fresh thoughts, innovation into the game. I think that's what we try to do. Now, quickly coming to the theme of this discussion today is that I would really like to know quickly from each one of you, for the last 3 years, what are some of the transformational works that you have done? Of course, we have seen this very, very challenging pandemic for last 2 years, and all of us, were in our homes and did a lot of stuff which we never did before, and availed a lot of services which we never did before. We had to think on our feet at times. We faced a lot of challenges. So pandemic's challenge actually aggravated and also influenced a lot of digital transformation. At the same time, I'm sure in each of your concerns, you have taken up certain projects which are transformational, which is thinking 10 years ahead of time, looking at concerns that you guys are in. So I would like to know from each one of you as to what those projects are, and then, of course, the question that I put forward in the beginning itself, what is the room for a young mind, a startup which is working in a very niche field, to work along with you so that they grow together and they can show that, okay, CSC is my client, or Grow is my client. I mean, something like that. So I'll start with Debashish da.
Thank you, Nirupam. I'll start with a very encouraging news. There's good news for all young startup companies. I come from the power utility sector. Specifically, I work for CSC, which, as you know, is in the business of generation and distribution of electricity to 34 lakh consumers in the city of Calcutta. And I can assure you that for all the startups who are here, there's ample opportunity for you to work with a giant like us. The reason I'm saying this is because very recently we have engaged a few startups, local startups, and to our utter surprise, their deliverables were, we were delighted by the outcome, which prompts me and encourages me to invite all of you to participate with a giant like us. Now, CSC's revenue model, all of you know, I'll just take one business process, as a case in point. For a power utility, one of the most important mission critical process is meter to cash, right? Meter to cash cycle, this business process. Although we are a 123-year-old company, the business process per se of meter to cash hasn't changed over these 100 years. But having said that, there has been technological intervention which has resulted in a huge improvement in the process efficiency. It has lowered the cost, improved cash flow, and it has enhanced customer delight. Just to give you an example, those of you who are in Calcutta, who get supply from us, many of you sitting here may be CSC consumers. If you ask your fathers or grandparents, they would be telling you that in the yesteryears, the meter to cash cycle, just to take you through the process, the meter inspectors would carry a bulky meter reading book to your premise, would manually read the meter, note down the reading, and that, we had 600 meter inspectors because we had to cover so many consumers across the city. And then they would deposit that meter reading book in the regional office. And there used to be a section called OED section where they would key in, from this source document, this meter reading book, the meter reading details in the computer. And the data would get trapped in floppies. Those days we had floppies. And then at the end of the day, from all the 6 regional offices, those floppies would go to our IT department, which was located in Theatre Road. And there used to be these floppy readers where, they would read these floppies, then the bill would be processed, the bill would be generated, hard copies, and then the courier would deliver that bill to the customer's premise. And then, upon receipt of that bill, the customer would go to his nearest cash office, physically queue up and pay his bill. And that would complete the meter to cash cycle. Now let us fast forward this today. I'm not going, we have gone through a metamorphosis, but let's fast forward this whole process today. The process remains the same, meter to cash cycle. But what has happened with technology intervention is that today we are installing a smart meter, let's say in the customer's premise. the meter inspector who is to carry that bulky meter reading book is no longer required. Because this smart meter, of course, the smart meter works on two technologies. One is on the RF and one is on the cellular. So now this meter inspector itself is not required. The meter emits data at 15 minutes intervals. So there are 96 data points over a 24-hour cycle, which comes directly over the wireless network to our data center. The bill gets processed, and the bill is emailed to the customer, and the customer pays that bill by invoking the payment gateway and pays it. So see, the business process is the same. It is only technology which has improved the meter to cash cycle. It has crunched it. It has brought in huge efficiencies. It has lowered the cost of operations because you don't need meter inspectors. And it has brought about immense customer delight. Because that customer who had to physically line up in the cash office, who had to do all that years ago, sitting from the comfort of his home, is doing all that, receiving his bill. So this is just to give you an idea what technology can do. Now, coming to the startup which we had engaged in our distribution application use case. I am not naming the startup, it is a local startup. But like I said, we engaged them, we did a POC, and we were delighted with the results. Now, just to give you a little bit of background so that you appreciate what the startup did in this particular case. Ours is a distribution company, generation and distribution company. So we have these substations from where, 132 kV cable emanates. It gets to the distribution stations. We have about 123 distribution stations. So this 132 kV is stepped down to 33 kV, and then the 33 kV feeder gets into the distribution station. We have 123 of them. And then at the 33 kV, it gets stepped down to 11 kV and 6 kV. Now from each of these distribution stations, we have about 16 high tension feeders emanating, about 3, 4, 5 kilometers long. And on each of these feeders, you have these HT consumers connected or distribution transformers, which further step down to our level, the retail level, which is 440 volts or 230 volts, right? So we have about 8,700 distribution transformers today, and 34 lakhs divided by this on an average, you'll find that each distribution transformer feeds around 350 to 400 low tension consumers. Now coming to the problem statement. During monsoons in Calcutta, as you know, some parts get flooded. Areas like Khidarpur, low-lying areas, they get flooded. Now, what used to happen till this POC happened was, see, there's this fear of electrocution. So system control would switch off the entire feeder, 11 kV feeder, where let's say there are 10 distribution transformers connected. Now, on that feeder, if you have 400 consumers per DTR, so 10 means 4,000 consumers would get impacted. Whereas, actually, only one, say, feeder pillar box is submerged in water. Only one. So, which means, 4,000 consumers were suffering on account of just one single feeder pillar box. So we said if we had a mechanism of only switching off that particular distribution transformer where there was water logging, which was submerged in water, then only those 400 consumers would be without power for those 2-3 hours. And the rest would enjoy power. And we achieved that through technology. So now, what we have in a feeder pillar box is we've installed these sensors, which senses the water level. The moment it crosses a threshold, it activates a signal through an IoT device, which sends a signal over wireless to our central command switch. Eventually, we want the switch to be automated. Now, he, physically switches off only that particular feeder. Now, see the immense improvement in customer delight. Earlier on, all those 4,000 customers were without power for hours together. Now it is only those limited to be impacted. What I'm trying to say is, a startup company designed the architecture, installed this IoT, we did this, and we got a success of this. So all I'm trying to say is, owing to paucity of time, because I have another session at 6, I'll have to leave at 5 to 6, and there are other 2 speakers. I will not go to the other use cases. There are about half a dozen of them I have listed down, which I'll be happy to share with startups. Because we are looking for low-cost solutions, technology-driven solutions, which can solve problems, which can solve our problems. Over to you, Nirupam. Because I think
yes, Debashish, I think before you go, I quickly getting a sense of that. So basically, the type of problems are also changing with time, right? The dynamics is changing. There are new nuances also coming with time. I mean, we never thought of this COVID situation before, right? I mean, if you go back 5 years, we never thought about it. And then new problems emerge. I'm not talking about only CAC. What I mean to say is that with time, there would be an umpteen number of new problems which you can solve, right? And as Debashish mentioned, there are a number of cases where young startups can work with you. And it is very encouraging to hear that you basically subscribe to that idea that you need to work together and help them so the ecosystem grows. Thanks, Debashish. This is a very interesting case. I would request you to maybe stay back for some more time and then we can start. Yeah. So let me quickly go to Navaneet. Navaneet, your story, and also maybe tell us quickly about the plan for the next 2-3 years, and also where do you think that startups can fit in your scheme of things, and how you are working together or co-creating.
Oh, awesome, Bob. Thank you so much for having me here, AVP and the Infocom team. And thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the great insight in terms of IoT, OT automations, what are the things you have done, and then what are the collaborations which is happening across industry. It is amazing. Ours is purely into the fintech. The fintech, if you see this, the recent, who are the leaders here, they might be knowing. Every week there will be a circular from the RBI, CB, NSE, BSE, CDSL, NSTL. Like most of the regulations, every week they release a circular. There will be a lot of dynamics in terms of the the environment. What we have done is, from the current infrastructure is what we have done is, where we have taken is, it's like a buffet concept, right? Wherever you go, let us take you are going to the restaurant. You look for the 2 things, right? Whether it is a la carte or the buffet. Which one you like to take it out? Any of you? It's like a buffet. Maybe you can raise a hand. How many of you like a buffet? Yeah, 2 cases. Okay, awesome. So this is like mostly, this current world. What's the ideology? Just what we are working is from growth standpoint is it's like most of the people look for the buffet because it's a time and varieties. Time is less, variety is more. Where you can choose and finish and then you can move on that, right? So that's the way where we have opted. That's our first and foremost one. Second one where we have done it is in terms of the customer experience. Like if you go to the restaurant, the earlier stage, right, where we used to see the quality of the food and all the things and all. Now it is not only quality of food, the hospitality also, it's very important. How you take care of the customer play very significant role. It's based on the level of, the maturity, what you handle, right? From the fintech standpoint, who has money, who wanted to invest, really they look for the great experience. The experience alone where we have, gone up in terms of 3x in terms of number of volume as well as a number of consumer. That has given a little bit on the the bigger stuff. And third one is of course just we started in terms of collaborating with a lot of startups in terms of purely onto the fintech side. What are the problem statements we have, and we have started to reach out a couple of colleges and then incubation centers, and then wherever it is solving, just where we are funding and try to the collaborate in the the right angle. One is a collaboration. Second one is, of course, we are extending our funding also from end to end. The fourth point is, moreover, most of the startups, the folks now they are looking. It's like how I can have a look on the 3 years, 5 years plan. It's not the way, right? It is absolutely things are changed. Now we are looking for how soon you can make things happen. Just what are the technology we plan? We plan for a 1 year, 2 year. What best? How best we can do? We don't plan for anything for the, the 5 years, right? Because if you take most of the organizations, they were working on the Bitcoin side. It's completely on the bankrupt, right? It is a one way. Second one, just we started on the CBDC only on the, the government sectors. Now it has started its end-to-end from the, the end customers also. So the technology is so dynamic and environment just keep changing from, the end-to-end. That's the way we start insisting in terms of the startups as well as from current our product team also. Let's be very dynamic, and then what are the things we are planning, like how soon we can achieve. Fifth point is it's moreover to achieve such a stuff where we have great ecosystems, right? Not like earlier. Earlier, just we have to hire a team, separate R&D team, and then they have to ensure that what's happening and then how we can move ahead from end to end. Now it's not the case. Like whatever you want to do, just there is the API, it's available, cloud environment is available, just buy, plug in, start running. If it is running, that's fine. If it is not running, end of the day shut down and then look for something else. So that's the way the speed and agility is too good in terms of our ecosystem. That's the one, just it's really taken into the next level. Sixth point is we take very seriously about the customer feedback. On the app, whatever, just where we have a conclusions, where we focus on what are the feedback it comes, not only just to answer, not only just give us solutions, right? That may be innovations on the query what we have it. So from that standpoint, we do a lot of derivations, a lot of evaluations, and from there we start, because I can say that close to 40% of product is evolved because of the customer feedback. Like they may look, something different, unique, and then where you can do the customization, where we can do the automation, how we can have a one single views. So that's a way where we are making. And of course, seventh point, just from across the world, just where we are trying to have it as a one investment platform. It's maybe the insurance, it may be the stocks, it's maybe FD, it's maybe the the mutual funds. So that's a way just where we can towards, except of course cryptocurrencies.
Thanks, Navneet. I think the 2-3 keywords that I take from your statement is speed, agility, and adaptability. So basically what I understand is that you would definitely not look for a very long proposition, but rather you would look at an agile team whom you can work with. They need not be in your payrolls. They can work with you to solve those problems. And this is the industry that you are in, it is the most required part.
Yeah.
So that's the opportunity. I think this is just an indicative thing. So the idea is across sectors, there would be opportunities where you would look for such a team to co-create and work with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, quickly going to Kumar now. Yeah. Kumar, I think I would require you to answer this question from 2 points. One is from the point of view of Senrisa, which is already established IT services company. You were working with a number of firms across the globe. At the same time, also working with government departments as well. And you have this platform of e-commerce, NDH Go platform, where you are having a brilliant team who is working on the product and the e-commerce platform. So in both these cases, where you think that beyond your team that you already have, there is opportunity for some partners to work with you and grow together.
Okay, so before I answer this question, I will answer the first question that you have asked, right? So just excuse me, I have some throat, I think many of us might be having. So what we have learned, right, in my last 10-15 years into the business, and the advice that I give to all startups, don't divert yourself in multiple things. Do one thing and do it right. And that is what we have learned by paying money and time, all right? And during this COVID time, when we got time to think beyond our day-to-day activities, right? So we have understood, right? So it is very important that we have got a very robust model, which can be future-proof, right? Where there will be a requirement always. So, and to find that niche area and focus where you will never be, in problem, because COVID is not the last thing that we have. We are expecting something similar or even worse than that in coming days, right? And business has to work as usual. So it is very important to think what we are doing, where we can create our expertise in, and solve one very specific problem. If you are mastering that problem solving of one such problem, then go for the next one. don't take 2, 3, 4 things together. And if you see all the successful startup, right, they've done only one thing right. Whether they say only customer experience or solving a very, very, very simple need of a customer, right? One need of the customer. Now coming to your the question, right? So, working in the public with the public sectors, enterprise. Today we are working with a lot of startups, right, who are using our platform. So the requirement expectations are totally different, right? When you work for a government or a large enterprise, right, where there are a lot of existing, it could be consumer, it could be the beneficiaries, or it could be the citizen in stake, whichever set processes are there and you don't want to disturb them, right? So you have to be very, very cautious when you design. Like in case of CSC, you can't do some big bang where the chance that it will fail. So it is a model where you can't fail, even on the first place, right? But when you go for new things, where in a startup we say, you have to fail first time. And if you don't fail, that is, you are in a deep problem. Because you don't know then whether you are right or not. Because there is a chances that you will be right on the first time is very, very low. Unless until you fail, you don't know what is the right thing, right? So, the whole startup and large enterprise are totally different breed altogether. And both has to be seen differently. So luckily, I've been a part in both the, ecosystem, I'll rather say. I'm not getting into the enterprise and the government sector, so this theme has been into the startup. And as you know, Nirupam, so we have been working with the masses, right? So in the large-scale e-governance where crores of citizens get impacted with the solutions, right? And when I decided to get into a startup, the objective was to get into, to democratize this e-commerce or digital commerce where and technology should not be a barrier for a small business to compete with a large enterprise, or I say a large startup, well-funded startup, right? We believe, and has been our firm belief, that a small kirana can compete with the world's #1 hypermarket in his locality, and he can say that I can provide better service in my locality of where some 500 or 1,000 families lives than someone coming from US, and he may be the global leader. But as far as my society is concerned, I can provide in terms of technology adaptation, in terms of customer experience, customer service, return. I know my customer, I know my customer test, and I know that I can give a much better service than any big player. And that has always motivated us to build solution for masses. And while working into the masses, we can't leave the large enterprise as well. So our solutions are equally for the large enterprises. And what we are going is more on a PaaS type of solution where we say, okay, why to put you on other cloud? You can, when you have the opportunity to keep it on your own cloud and run your own e-commerce solution on your own cloud. My piece of advice to the startups, non-tech startup, because when you say startup in India, we think startups might be a tech, but we see non-tech is the biggest opportunity, at least for the state like Bengal.
I think lines are blurred now. Lines have almost blurred between tech and non-tech because there is no option but to go for it.
Yeah. So, for a non-tech, if I'm into building some product or in agri or, fashion, lifestyle, so we see a lot of startups coming in this sector, right? And these are the area where we work with the startups at a very, very early stage, where we give our platform almost for free. And once they start earning, then all the commercial starts.
Absolutely, Kumar. So, we have this opportunity to work with some very interesting MSME sector clusters also. We see amazing opportunities, and these guys definitely would have the option to pay a bomb, right? But they would definitely do a lot better with a platform where they could actually push their merchandise globally, and different parts of India as well as globally. But these guys require a chance, and maybe that's where platforms like this come in.
Not only
And
about
hyper-local
this,
concept also.
yeah, so I'll give you an example of Bangalore, which is the heart of startups, right? Today, what you have seen, like all the startups who get an early check of some 50 lakh to 1 CR, maybe 2-3 CR, right? Maybe $1 million, check in the seed or angel round. Everyone is struggling to build an e-commerce website because the current players, global players are there, right? So either it is very, very vast in terms of like you need to have developers and all those stuffs to customize you the way you think your customer would love to see your website, or there are some platform where you say, okay, if you have to use it, you have to use on my terms, and there is no middle path left to them. And those startups are today coming to us to have their solutions. And we are equally open. I coming from this city, I'm always open to startup from this, this place, and we'd be happy to work with, all the startups.
Absolutely. And excellent to have leaders like you spend some time with us, maybe 3 hours in a week, something like that, where you can work with incubators and entities, where you can at least spend some time as mentors. I think that is one point, and Kritika also mentioning during her opening speech, we spend a lot of time to understand that matchmaking also, where they would really benefit. I would not take more time because we are really, there are some other sessions we're going to start, and Debashish was telling just now. If there are no questions from the audience, I will ask one last question and then part. Otherwise, we'll have we have this question. Can you have a mic here?
This question is to Mr. Saha. I see your company is based at Bangalore. So why not Calcutta? Because you see, if you compare with Zoho and some other place, it has come up. In today's connectivity, Calcutta or Bangalore really doesn't matter. But still, we don't find much startups here compared to Bangalore.
Let me give you the insight. So it was started from Calcutta, then moved to Bangalore.
No, there must be some strong reasons. What are the reasons? Because here you have the talent, everything is available in Calcutta. Why have you moved to Bangalore?
I'll rather say the ecosystem around is missing. Let me tell you, there are two approaches. Zoe is a very, very good example where he have created the ecosystem of his own, right? And it took him many, many years. So people like us are in a hurry, right? Who don't have the patience to create an ecosystem, spend 5 years to build an ecosystem around, build a team. So today, as a SaaS product, right? We are looking for resources who have worked in SaaS companies like say Zoho, for example, right? Whether it's in Chennai, and these teams may not want to come down to Calcutta, and in Calcutta you not find a SaaS product, right? So from where we can hire. So if there are 20 companies are there who are working in the top-notch technology, right? Then you can hire from the other company. The moment you don't have those, right, you get restricted to hire people, train them, and that takes your go-to-market, affect your go-to-market time. That has been our primary reason. Other than this, yes, there is a psyche is there, and we don't want to take any chance on that startup.
All said and done, I was just listening to Mr. Patwari, who is from Durgapur, and he has a very nice working organization. Yeah, Durgapur is even around 150 kilometers away from Calcutta.
In fact, there are umpteen examples like that. I think it's also the scenario and the overall the dynamics also depends on a lot of stuff. Yeah. And I'm sure Kumar would be operating equally with Bangalore and Kolkata.
Sandrisa, which is a fintech company, this headquarters is still in Calcutta. We have not moved it.
So, thanks. I would not take more time because we are absolutely run out of time. And thank you audience. Over to you. Thank you, panelists.
So, well, honestly, we still have many moments to go, but then we have the other sessions to follow up, and for that reason, and I guess we have covered almost all the points which we wanted to deliberate on, and for that reason, we absolutely going to take this opportunity, as we have Mr. Saha over here, we have a visual presentation for all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, over to the screen.
Create your professional e-commerce website and grow. It's fast, simple and free. With NVH Go, create customizable themes for your brand. With ready payment gateway. 30 plus delivery partners for faster delivery anywhere. And reach millions of customers through social media. Promote your products with discounts and offers. Advanced dashboard to conveniently manage your inventory and sales. Catalog builder to quickly add ready products. Analytics for tracking and understanding customers' behavior. Create your free online store for any type of business. Get set grow with NVH Go.
That's surely very interesting. And at this point of time, ladies and gentlemen, can I please now request our CFO, ABP Private Limited, Mr. Pradeep Biswas, to kindly step up on the stage as we are here and we are honored to felicitate all our panelists and our moderator. I know just a couple of us here, but I'm sure the applauses can be a little more louder, a little more warmer to make us feel like a full house. Presenting a felicitation to Mr. Nirupam Chaudhuri, the chairperson of this panel, to Mr. Debashish Roy, to Mr. Navaneethan M, and of course to Mr. Saha. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for the... We need a photo opportunity. I think it's better if you could step forward, you know? Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. We're looking forward to have you yet again tomorrow, which is going to be the last day of Infocom 2022. Many panel discussions happening tomorrow, a couple of keynotes happening tomorrow, and one of the most important is the hacker session post-lunch, especially tomorrow in this track. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day ahead. This is your host, Sylvie, signing off. Thank you.